seen from me, probably seen me. So we're gonna go ahead and get started real quick. Let me know if you can see my screen. All of you should be able to see my screen. So today we are discussing the electronic Waybill. So this is who we are. My name is Jose Barahona, General Sales Manager, and with me is Chris Lilimetz. You heard him earlier. He is our product manager. So at the end of the day, we're having to hear your feedback. We're having to see what is going on in the industry, and we're trying to give you that edge over people who don't have this type of technology. So let's have a look and see what we're going to be discussing today. So we're going to be talking about the eAWB. We're going to talk about where the industry is right now. If you were here before, we were talking about getting ready and being prepared. Well, it's here. We want to talk to you about some of those eAWB stats that we have. We are going to have another presentation, a quick demonstration of how easy it is to file. We're going to tell you again, hey, get ready. Then we're going to talk about value and pricing. Two different words. Obviously, I'm in sales, so we're going to discuss that specifically. All right. So, Chris.
All right. So here, just a couple of points. What the eAWB in general as a concept provides. Obviously, it can save you money on trivial things like printing and courier fees, etc. But as it's becoming more and more relevant, also airline fees, because airlines try to promote, the ones that are ready try to promote electronic filing as well, and are already starting to charge fees for paper airway bills. Standards and compliance, obviously, because we're talking about online approved electronic formats, it is much easier to comply that way. Time and accuracy, to send data from your Magaya system. So your operation software, you have already keyed in the shipment data. You don't have to waste time entering it again on some kind of a form.
Correct. And also, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Some of you say, well, Jose, I've had the electronic Waybill since I've had Magaya. And the answer is true. You do have an electronic version of the Waybill. Now, the industry is catching up. So we're able to send those electronic Waybills that you've had with Magaya for such a long time to actually airlines that are going to be receiving it. And like Chris said, we're also going to be able to have messages regarding your Waybill that you've received and archived in Magaya. So there is no third party that you have to log off from your cargo system, and being able to do that.
Yes.
So where are we at right now? Well, we have the airline's readiness with the Waybill. So it varies by airline. Sometimes people ask and call and say, well, is this airline ready? Or is that airline ready? And the answer is every airline is at a different, stage. At the end of the day, some of them are ready. We can see where the report is. This is from February 2018. And Chris got to share a few things with us here.
Yeah. So even here in the IATA resources, we have their monthly report that they publish to measure the Waybill penetration. You see that it's by airport, by airline. So a general yes or no per airline might not even apply. So the best way to always check is to check with your airline representative saying, I'm shipping with you guys from here to there. I want to use electronic eAWB. Are you guys ready? Also, we have the general IATA eAWB webpage, which is really a treasure trove of information. There is something here called IATA Matchmaker, where you can run a wizard to determine if your business with what type of cargo and what airports you're using is ready for eAWB. They give you the stats, they give you the target for what they want the penetration to be for 2018.
Correct, and we can see that we're almost at 53% regarding that penetration. So you're either half in or half out, depending on how positive you are. So in this case, we want you to be all in, right, Chris?
Absolutely. And finally, I just wanted to quickly get techie here as well and show some of IATA's presentation actually about how the electronic interchange works and what the formats are. So here from the airline's perspective, you're either the freight forwarder 1 or freight forwarder 2 in this scenario. They want the eAWB, which you can either send from, in this slide it says ERP, that would be your Magaya system, or a web tool, because most airlines these days already have either a web portal or a tool you can download for you to actually file electronically. Now, from your point of view, if you're already keying in the shipment information in Magaya, you don't want to type it in again in some other tool. So we want you to be the freight forwarder one on this slide. All right, so there are two types of processes for the eAWB. One is the immediate one where you send the eAWB message and basically the freight is already on its way or at the airline's dock, and they just give you the acceptance message back. The other has one more step where you send kind of like a preparation message, send the freight, and they send you confirmation when they have received the freight, and then the different status updates. Now, this part is interesting. There are actually two formats, technically speaking, that the electronic message can be using when delivered from your software to the airlines. There's the legacy cargo IMP format, which is a flat text file, as you can see. And there is a more modern, sophisticated cargo XML format, which is also the format that the whole IATA e-freight initiative that in the future will include other documents, not just the eAWB, but invoices, cargo manifest, etc. They will all go and travel using this XML format. Now, Magaya, since the beginning, already programmed our eAWB format as well using the cargo XML. So this is, even though most of the industry is still using the IMP format. So this is an assurance that if you go with Magaya, we're already using the latest current formats possible. Now, if airlines still want to receive the messages in IMP, we have a third-party partner in the middle that will convert those messages. So we can use either cargo IMP or cargo XML, but just what's running under the hood in Magaya is the XML format, so we're ready for the future. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we have a technology partner, one of the larger eAWB connection providers in the world, as our middleware. So you can file directly from your Magaya software. We deliver the message to them, and they deliver to pretty much any airline. So we support cargo XML, cargo IMP, and a big thing that we've seen so far, and I'm going to mention this a couple of times again and again in this presentation, is the data formatting. Because if you're filing paper eAWB, you can make corrections on the eAWB itself in the end in Magaya, and the formatting isn't that strict. With electronic formats, it is very strict. So the data needs to be clean. We'll show later as well what we mean by it. And we have quite a few resources available also besides the IATA website, also on Magaya side. So we have our knowledge base. If you go to knowledge.magaya.com or click knowledge base on your page 1 and type in eAWB, you'll see getting started guide there. And on our YouTube channel, there's even a video of how to file the eAWB.
Perfect. It's interesting. As this grows, more and more people are involved. And let me tell you, before we get to a few of the stats, one of the biggest concern that our clients have is how secure is the data? It's the first one. And second, can I trust the airline? There's this, I think why only 52% of us are filing is, I really think that most of us in freight forwarding, like I did before I got to Magaya, we have a hard time trusting that data is no longer in our hands. It's in the airline's hands. The airline has to do this. So let me tell you, doing things electronically really changes the way you communicate. It's not like you're picking up the phone and you're waiting on someone to process that information. And if they forget, they won't do it. There's a whole lot of systems backend that goes into it that allow you to be able to have that communication. So it's trust. We have to go ahead and trust the system and the new changes that are coming in. At the end of the day, it's very difficult to move from documents to electronic. We know that. We do it on a daily basis with our new clients. So let's look at some stats. First, we have about 1,000 master airway bills consolidations filed monthly through the Magaya system. So this is something that is growing. Okay, our clients are using 10 to 15 airlines so far. Obviously, they vary. Okay, and in this case here, you have Cathay Pacific, Air China, American Airlines, KLM, Turkish, Air France. So those are the ones that people are using. And again, kind of like what Chris showed earlier, depending on what airport you're at, that's who you're going to be using. So we have a lot of people on the West Coast using these airlines from Asia, and we have some people working in Europe from out of New York using that. So from here, you can use American. A lot of people say, hey, is American Airlines ready? Well, yeah, not just American Airlines, all MIA is ready. You just have to go ahead and start working on getting prepared for that. Chris?
Yes, and in total, we support currently between 90 and 100 airlines. Again, as Jose mentioned, some of them, it depends on which they might support from some airports and not from others. So check with your airline rep. And also an interesting point here is the airlines that our customers have adopted first, coincidentally, have been the ones that have started charging fees for paper airway bills first. So Cathay Pacific charges $25, Air China charges $20. We know Lufthansa charges $12, et cetera, et cetera.
12 euros, actually.
Oh, 12 euros. Yes. So that may or may not be a coincidence there, that they're some of our most widely used airlines. All right, let's see how it works. We have our Magaya open here, and let's go file an airway bill. So we have a shipment here that is prepared. Look at the shipment. This is a consolidation, a master with 2 houses. And it is going from Houston to Paris. Okay. So, and I have the routing information, the entities, my general information. If you know Magaya, this is, it's a standard shipment. So we have 2 houses here with different shippers, and the cargo obviously entered. Okay, so let's go to the eAWB option under your actions menu, and you see here on a master shipment you have 2 options. On a house or straight shipment you will have 1 option. So on a master, what we could do is first file the master airway bill, and we designed this window to resemble the paper airway bill, so that you know where to look. This is something that you've seen for years, which part of the paper to look for what information. Now, if anything here was missing or wrong or not compliant to the electronic standards, you would see that part of the airway bill red. Okay, so I had, let's say, a mistake in let's say telephone number missing. It would say here telephone number red. Okay, as Jose mentioned earlier, we are using very clean data just to show you how easy it is if everything is set up correctly. So this airway bill is perfect. Going to hit send and get a confirmation message that Magaya has posted it to the next step in the route of this electronic message. Okay. Then also from the master, if you're ready with the data of all the houses, you can file them with 1 click. So this is extremely handy if you have large consolidations. So you don't have to go house by house. You have the option, the same eAWB button is available on the house level as well. But if you click here, you see the status. First column says if this particular house airway bill has any issues. Success means it doesn't. So this looks pretty clean as well. The second house as well. And when you click send, it files both of those house airway bills. So this is really the happy path. Okay, so this is the easiest this could look, and we made sure that this is the way we presented it. But as I'm going to show in a second, there is some work to do. So how to get ready? So first of all, as we've already mentioned a couple of times, find out if your particular airline partner is ready. Talk to your rep. Look at the IATA website. And then before you start with your first airline, this is something you only need to do once. You need to fill out something called a multilateral agreement by IATA. It is also available on their website. Again, the same the same general IATA eAWB website will have a link there. I'm gonna just show you very quickly here how to join for freight forwarders. So they say that it should take approximately 10 to 15 minutes to complete and submit the online form. So this is, again, this is something you need to only do once. Then contact your Magaya sales rep or our tech support saying you want to get started with the Waybill. That will be the same step if you have already started but want to add another airline. It's just the first time there's a little bit more data to submit. And then while this process is pending or going on, already start cleaning up your data in Magaya. By that, we mostly mean entities. And what I mean by this, if we look back to our demo, if we look at Jose's Magaya system here, for example, and let's go and look at the customers list. So the most common source of errors we've seen with our customers that are already using the Waybill is just that they're not everybody's in the habit of filling out the entities data completely. So what will be mandatory are the name of the customer or freight forwarder, the contact person, first and last name, the phone, the street number, the city, the country, and in some cases also state and zip or postal code. That depends on the country's address requirements. There will be things like, due to the cargo IMP format, the maximum length of the address can only be 20 characters, so some characters might get cut off. So we've introduced a new type of additional address for customers, which is the eAWB address, for example. So if I go to add another address, I could put here as a description that this is the eAWB address, and so we will pick that. So you can come up with a shorter format just because that is the data requirement, et cetera, et cetera. So we have seen most of the issues we have seen aren't actually technical. They are data related, just because with the paper Waybill, you get away with it. You know, we've seen people, for example, type in this field where you're only supposed to have the street address, they type the whole address here. Again, on paper it looks good, but the electronic format will say, hey, your city field and your country field are empty. This won't fly.
Yeah, and you got to remember those are the requirements that we have in order to be able to transmit. It's a matter of putting the right information in the right place for it to do that. At the end of the day, different airlines are going to have certain restrictions. That information, how it leaves, has to have some sort of uniform. So, you know, Chris mentioned earlier, every airline is different. In fact, every response from the airline is very different, and some airlines don't even respond at all. Mm-hmm. So there's always that whole process of getting ready in order to what you should expect from that.
Okay? Absolutely. And our demo looked so smooth and easy because we had picked the forwarders and the consignees and shippers whose addresses were fully filled in. We entered the weights and dims and everything on the cargo, and so it was really just one click. Otherwise, that preview will just show all red. Go and fix these errors before you can file, and that will be annoying over time. All right, Jose, do you want to talk a little bit about the pricing?
That's my favorite part, of course. Great. So let's talk about how this works. Well, regarding the eAWB, and there's a few other plugins, but this one specific, it is paper transaction. So you're going to pay based on how many transactions you have. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is per master Waybill. So that means you have one master Waybill, you have 150 houses, you're still paying just for that one transaction of the master Waybill. Okay.
And since you're going to ask later probably about amendments, yes, you can file amendments. You just file the same master again, and we don't charge separately per amendment. So it's all the houses, all the amendments you need, you only get charged once.
Beautiful. Hopefully you don't have to do that many amendments, even though they're free. So let's talk about the transaction. So first of all, there is a $50 monthly minimum charge in order to be able to use this. And there is a $5 transaction per master Waybill, anywhere from 1 to 50 transactions. Okay. From 51 to 200 transactions, there's $4.50 per master Waybill. and anything above 201 transactions is $4 transaction. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There are many of you who do large transactions. Say, Jose, listen, I do more than 201. I'm thinking of one specific client. He said, hey, this is how much I do. You have to be able to do better for me. And let me tell you, we always strive to help our customers. We're able to go ahead and say, hey, let me negotiate a better rate for you. Let me talk to how many are you going to have. So any of you that has a large volume over 200, 300, 400, need a better pricing, we'll work with you. Okay. And again, this customer is great. They filed a whole lot with us, and they have a special pricing. They're happy. We're happy. The airline's happy. At the end of the day, we all have to win, as difficult as that may be. All right. So I want to give you a quick example of that price, because at the end of the day, price is one thing, value is another. Chris?
Yeah. So if we just this is on the assumption, and we're we technically got the eAWB ready almost 2 years ago, but the interest has been rising recently more and more as airlines have started charging fees for paper eAWB. So this really makes the math very simple. If before it was like a nice to have, then here in this case, for example, if you file 100 consolidations per month or master eAWBs per month, we're talking about more than $2,000 savings compared to paying $25 per paper eAWB to the airline. Or if all those 100 eAWBs were keyed in on the airline's website manually, then how much does that cost in your time? So we're thinking the value proposition should be very clear at this point, and the airlines are really helping to push this forward, actually.
Correct. At the end of the day, the biggest change here is those are driven by money. I mean, the airline started getting more serious, and again, I had one specific customer who said, Jose, I need this done yesterday. I'm already paying 25. We had an opportunity to work with them. And again, how long ago was it? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And now I think this webinar is the one that we've had the most interest, because people are interested in wanting to learn more about it. So those of you who have Magaya, you're ready. Let's talk about what to expect and what you need to do in order to get to that other 52%.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, time for some real talk now. I personally and our team here in implementation and support has helped many customers get started with this already. And while a lot of Magaya is pretty much a turnkey system, you get started by checking a checkbox and you're ready to go. Then this one here, because there are so many moving parts, is a little different. So first of all, we say we support almost 100 airlines. These airlines and their technical readiness varies greatly. So not all airlines even have the ability to electronically send confirmation messages back or freight status updates back. So this is we accept them from all the partner airlines that are able to send them, but we know a few that all they do is they can receive it. So in this case, yes, you can send it, but for your peace of mind, you might still end up also having to call or email or whatever the process is with your rep. And this is on airlines, and they get more and more on board with full two-way communication as we speak. Then also, even though it is a IATA approved one data format, we've seen that literally every single airline so far that we got our first customers started with has had a few different requirements. So some have a specific address requirement, some have like a specific service level type that they need. So expect that again that if it's supposedly easier if you're using an airline that already other Magaya customers are using, because then we're pretty confident that we have already ironed those out. But if you bring aboard a new airline, again, be ready that we might need to tell you how to work with the data to make this work for the particular airline, or change a few things around in the system. Also, expect to implement one airline at a time. Like last year, I had a customer send me a list of, we ship with these 30. Can you turn this on? Unfortunately, that's just it's not as easy. The sign up itself, once you submit with Magaya your data that, okay, I want to use eAWB, that registration with the airline can take up to 2 weeks. I've seen it take 1 day. I've seen it take 2 weeks. So it's really anything in that window. And then after you signed up with the airline specific testing, after the sign up has been completed, can take several weeks. I've seen it take a month. It really depends on the airline, and some are very structured. Like as soon as they send you the confirmation, you're now registered, they send you, okay, here is what you need to do to get tested. I need these many shipments of this type sent. We will review the data, see what we saw in the data. If it's fine, we'll give you a go to the next stage. Some are less structured. They're like, start sending, let's see what's wrong. and then, it's not as smooth of a process. But in general, we've seen everybody, ourselves and the airlines, get more on the same page. So the process is only going to get better in time. I just wanted to make sure that you know what to expect when you get started with Magaya, that you don't go to Jose and say, I needed it yesterday.
That never happens with our clients, man. So let's summarize. At the end of the day, you got to prepare. You got to confirm which airlines are ready, the ones that you're working with. Take a look at your ports. A lot of you are here in South Florida, so you're looking at ports in South America. You may think, well, they're not doing it, they're not ready. You'd be surprised at the push that IATA is making and the strides that they're doing. So they want to be over 60% by the end of this year. So that's going to come. It's just going to get bigger. So verify with the airlines. Take a look at the IATA multilateral agreement. That is something that you need to do. And start cleaning your Magaya data, okay? I mean, data as a whole, the way you transfer it. Some of you do have some EDIs and are realizing that data, how you put it in, is very important, how it leaves and how people receive it. So this is just part of, putting everything in one main place that can work well, okay? And again, if you don't have a copy of that IATA multilateral agreement, we've had a few links. We can go ahead and send that over to you. At the end of the day, you're also going to have to call us. So call your Magaya rep. If you don't know your Magaya rep, ask for me. Ask for Chris. Say, hey, I was in the Waybill. Can you put me with the right people? We'll gladly assist you in any way we can. So don't worry about it. We're here to help you out. Again, Chris was very clear. Expect some time for setup and testing per airline. I wish it was a turnkey solution. I wish every airline was extremely simple to get things done. You'd be surprised. But at the end of the day, we want to help you. Take enough time. That doesn't mean that if you come in and say, I need it done yesterday, we're not going to try our best to assist you in any way we can. Just understand there are other players involved in this setup. Okay?
Okay, and so that's all that we have for today. We also wanted to share all the different ways you can contact us. You can call our support number. You can find information on our website, or on our knowledge base website, which is knowledge.magaya.com. And both of those resources, tech support and knowledge base, are also available on the page 1 of your Magaya system. So thank you, everybody, from myself,
from Jose,
and we'll see you next time. And yes.